oriented. Trump is getting shut down by federal judges and state level judges on pretty much every single issue he wants. Weaponization fund, Kennedy Center. Oh my God, dude, he's got to be pissed. He's got to be
New York Congress
pissed.
says Donald Trump's 80th birthday is coming up in just 2 weeks, and as is his style, he's been corruptly lavishing himself with presents all year in preparation. But today, 3 separate federal judges started raining on his parade, a quick succession of court decisions over the course of just a few hours rebuking Trump on some of his seemingly highest priorities in office. I mean, these are the things that keep him up at night. These are the things he thinks about, that he plots about, that he talks about to the press and anyone who's listening. There is clear evidence of the growing backlash to his profiteering off of his petition. Like when he unilaterally put his name above John F. Kennedy's on the Kennedy Center.
God, dude, that was... He really wants to make this country look as fucking ugly as possible. And I'm so happy that this got blocked by a judge.
Not, profit per se, but let's just say self-aggrandizement. A federal judge today ordered Trump's name permanently removed from the building, saying, quote, and this is true, Congress gave the Kennedy Center its name and only Congress can change it. That was just the beginning of Trump's very bad day. The next shoe to drop was over his planned $1.8 billion slush fund to pay the people who helped him try to overthrow an election the last time he lost, and we should say, essentially anyone else that he wants to. The plan is now falling apart. A federal...
Yeah, he's gonna get real pissed real fast. Where is it? Because even Republicans are not being 100% on board with the whole weaponization fund. That's not the link I wanted. This is the link I wanted. Senate Republicans face a political knife edge over Trump's anti-weaponization fund. Senate Republicans face a stark choice when they return from recess next week. Donald Trump's controversial $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund to benefit his political allies or defy a commander-in-chief who just ended the careers of 2 Republican senators. Nearly half of the 53-member Republican Senate majority balked at the issue during a heated 2-hour meeting with Acting AG Todd Blanche before the week-long Memorial Day break, forcing leadership to suspend plans to pass $72 billion partisan bill to fund Trump's immigration crackdown through the end of his presidency. I would hope that Senate leadership is working with the administration and the Department of Justice to sign something that's going to work, Ron Johnson said, a Wisconsin conservative, who says he fully supports the fund. Nobody likes this, man. Literally nobody likes this. To me, this whole thing was completely blown by announcing it. Timing was atrocious, true. Controversy has already reviewed grievances from a 2020 presidential election. James Torpus, a former Trump campaign attorney who faced felony charges over his alleged role in a false 2020 election scheme in Wisconsin, applied this week for $3.2 million in compensation, saying he'd lost his reputation, faces $1.7 million cost after representing Trump. So, yeah, this is literally just to pay out his allies.
A judge in Virginia put the brakes on that slush fund today, halting it as multiple lawsuits against Trump's DOJ work through their way through the courts. Remember, Trump's DOJ proposed this fund at a settlement to Trump's $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS that Donald Trump controls. And today, the federal judge in Florida, who heard the lawsuit, right, when Trump filed the lawsuit against the IRS, she said she is reopening that lawsuit to investigate grievous allegations that the settlement was, quote, premised on deception and made the court the victim of a fraud. That was a response to a motion by 35 former federal judges saying the Trump administration might have defrauded the court with its settlement. The settlement seems like a product of collusion, not a good faith process between 2 parties in a lawsuit who are, crucially, adversarial to each other in a controversy, as the Constitution describes. In fact, one of the signatories, one of the retired federal judges who signed onto that brief, explained on our show just last night how there could have been a fraud on the court.
I'll keep this quick.
James, I love you. Got to get out of here.
This could only be paid over if there was litigation, if there had been a claim. And so, therefore, they went to court to make a claim. The problem is that the claim was really, as we said in our papers, a collusion, was a fraud on the...
Yep. Was a complete fraud, by the way.
Court. That the claim was really not a real claim because it was Donald Trump bargaining with himself, as you said before, the snake bargaining with himself. So the motion was to reopen the case. Not that we're saying that it is a fraud or not fraud. We're saying there's enough here that the judge should investigate, should be opened to see.
No, you need to say that it is fraud. You need to say it's fraudulent and it's a way of supporting allies who rightfully got not harassed, but attacked by the legal system in the way that they did.
See what's going on.
Now, I'll be honest with you, when we had Nancy Gertner, who you just saw there on the show last night, who's been a frequent guest and who I always love hearing from, when we had her on the show saying this, again, I don't know the law well enough. It seemed a bit of a long shot, like to go in and be like, wait a second, wait, not so fast. But guess what? Not such a long shot. That judge that received the filing is now giving the government until June 12th. They have to file something explaining how the slush fund plan is legitimate. They actually have to reply and say, no, we weren't colluding, we were adversarial, as hard as a case that might be to make, or the whole thing might be scuttled entirely. So that's three huge...
God, judges are literally, like, federal and state level judges are, like, literally holding this country up, barely. If it weren't for these judges at these lower level judges, this country would be beyond fucked. Like, we owe so much to these low level judges that it's incalculable how much we owe them.
Rulings just today, just in a few hours this afternoon into the evening, challenging some of Trump's most grossly corrupt acts. Then, just before he got on air, another federal judge ruled that he could not dismiss the indictments of Oath Keepers leader Stewart Rhodes and fellow supporters who plotted the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, because the Justice Department hasn't offered any facts or evidence to justify it, despite the fact that they are trying to rescind those. Just more evidence of Trump's waning power and influence, and also of the just sheer lawlessness of his rampage through
judges, like lower level judges, I'm saying lower level from like the Supreme Court is at the top, right? Federal judges are like not fucking with Trump at all. And it makes me very happy. Obviously, there's a couple out there that do, but a majority of them do not.
The nation that federal judges have been trying to stop. This is even as he's taking the nation's birthday party and turning it into his own. I mean, it's the 250th birthday of the country. Trump has sort of appropriated the whole thing as a Donald Trump birthday party. He's throwing himself a UFC party. There it is in front of the White House.
I do like how MS Now, like whenever they cover stuff, they don't back down from being hostile. We need more Democrats like this.
Cage fight that's happening on the White House lawn on Trump's 80th birthday in 2 weeks, by the way. And that pairs wonderfully with another one of Trump's gifts to himself. And again, he's been making lots of these. He's not someone who likes to deny himself much. A big bunch of stock in, yes, you guessed it, UFC's parent company. Between $15,000 and $50,000 worth in late March, according to disclosures first reviewed by HuffPost. The White House told MS Now there are no conflicts of interest. Great. No, there's just a stock purchase and then a giant UFC event on the White House lawn.
We purchased stock and we're going to host an event that is going to bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars. But there's no conflict of interest here.
That he's been promoting for months. What could possibly be a conflict of interest about that, right? Donald Trump feels entitled to lots of gifts all the time now, even when it's not his birthday. In fact, every day is kind of his birthday. I think that's the way he views it. This increasingly brazen and ham-handed corruption is also, I think, getting harder to sustain as gas prices still...
Yeah, and that's why, like, Senate Republicans are not wanting to vote on this at all. Federal judge temporarily blocked. Plans showed lawmakers behind a closed door that the fund would not pay out money to members of the Trump family or anyone convicted of a violent crime, according to people in the room. But lawmakers want those assurances in writing, along with the eligibility requirements, greater congressional control in selecting fund commissioners, and some form of judicial oversight. What we decide next is whether or not the 51 Republican senators who believe that a satisfactory outcome. I don't think every member necessarily is going to find equal satisfaction. John Thune has called on the Justice Department and the White House to provide clarity to the members about what guardrails they will accept. Aides say there have only been silent so far. Unilateral executive theory, baby.
Hover above $4 a gallon.
They know they don't need to, like, push on the Senate to do stuff. Like, they know that they can just do whatever they want because the Senate's let them get away with so much.
And a vast majority of the country says the economy is awful and his political strength collapses. That's especially with regards to the seditionist slush fund, which might be the single most repellent and audacious idea he's come up with yet. I mean, members of both parties have now introduced bills to block it. One congressman is pushing to subpoena the Trump officials who were involved in putting the plan for that fund together. That congressman is Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland. He's a ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, and he joins me now. Congressman, I think you and I would both agree that federal district court judges, that's the lowest level in the federal judiciary that has 3 levels, district, appellate, Supreme Court, across ideological lines, across the party that nominated them, have really consistently kind of just said up is up and down is down, black is black and white is white when it comes to Trump.
It's so nice. They are literally the only reason why our country hasn't fucking collapsed.
And today we have another example with respect to the slush fund. So first, let me just start with your understanding of the significance of both of these rulings. One, to just stop it, and two, down in Florida, to reopen the case.
It's monumental. And the constitutional philosophy that's been advanced by tens of millions of Americans across the country of no kings, I think is also being taken up by the federal judiciary. These people are saying no kings. We're actually going to enforce the law as it is. So it's a remarkable day for the rule of law in America as the judges peel back the various layers of the onion and reveal nothing but a fraud.
We love onions.
And that fraud is obviously propounded by Donald Trump, but Attorney General Todd Blanche is right in the thick of it. I mean, they filed a motion to dismiss on July 20.
Democrats are more upset about the slush fund than the murder of multiple trans people in the U.S., by the way. I do want to make it clear that the slush fund's bad, really bad, but the fact that this gets Democrats so worked up versus other issues that are happening right now, especially when it comes to queer issues and queer rights, is pretty, it's a big indication that they literally only want to fight this because it's one, low-hanging fruit, and two, it requires zero effort to fight.
2025 in a case not only exactly on point legally, but on exactly the same point factually. It related to the same leak that Trump was concerned about. This is the one that sent Charles Littlejohn to jail for leaking information about Trump's taxes. And the DOJ, under Todd Blanche and under Pam Bondi, sent in a motion to dismiss, which succeeded, saying that you can't recover against the government for the misdeeds of a private government contractor. They knew it. They won on that point, and then they turned around in this case, and they agreed with Donald Trump that he should get $10 billion.
Yes, right.
Yeah, it's a fucking mess. And even, no one thinks this is a winning issue. Even those in safe Republican House and Senate seats don't usually have to worry about election. Even those folks want no part of this. Said a Republican strategist who requested anonymity because he involved in key congressional races. Jeez! Oh my God, man. Yeah, this is fucking, all hail for the fall of the Republican Party. The American empire is crumbling, and the Republican Party is going to be the first ones to go with them. Oh, man. Jesus fucking Christ. You don't hate Democrats enough. You don't hate Republicans enough. They're all just fucking awful people, man. And not borderline corrupt, transparently corrupt. So that's always nice to have on a little tail end.